Welcome to WayWut, your weekly verbal double take. This is a rabbit hole podcast where a couple of old guys do moderate to shallow dives into various topics, ranging from true crime, paranormal, sports, pop culture, or anything else that we find interesting. We drop episodes every Tuesday and on Fridays if we feel like it. You can follow us on Facebook, X, and TikTok. We appreciate you joining us. And now that we got all this self-promotion stuff out of the way, here we go. Hello. Welcome once again to another episode of WayWut. My name is Daryl. We will be taking the lead today. And here I am with the guy trying to get a bill through Congress that will require postal workers to wear body cams. Jason.
Yes, I would love that.
It's like
Sign the petition, people.
let's check the footage.
Oh, it was actually funny today. I heard her down the street, and I was a little too late getting out on my chair to come watch her. I was going to film it today again, and I missed her. I saw her driving away, but
After
I did go.
Did she do through the yard again?
She didn't drive in the yard today. She didn't drive in the yard today because it rained, so she would have put an even bigger rut.
Oof. No good. All right. Well, speaking of postal workers, today I'm going to start off with an OnlyFans rant.
Okay. I wonder if they'd be mad about that.
Well, I was more amusing myself with equating postal workers to OnlyFans. You know, I'm good at segues. Why are people getting their panties in a twist over OnlyFans? I know two women that do OnlyFans, and it's worked out pretty good for them. OnlyFans is like a safer way for women to be strippers. No one can grab them. No one can follow them home. They get money for showing their stuff in the comfort of their own home. I don't see the problem with that. Me personally, I would totally do OnlyFans if I could. Hell, one of my friends that does OnlyFans, she said that there's certainly some people out there that would pay for pictures of a heavy-set guy wearing superhero hoodies with no pants on. And she didn't say it just like that, but I'm aware of what I'm working with here. You know, I'm not dumb.
There's a crowd for everybody.
It's true. There's a fetish for everything.
Mm-hmm.
My problem is there's probably only like a few people out there, and you know, it's like, okay, I've been taking my pants off wearing superhero hoodies for $15 a week or a month or however that shit is.
I could just see that shit for free, so I'm not going to pay for it.
Now, if anyone has issues with OnlyFans, you need to get over it. Just like a strip club, you don't have to look at it if you don't want to. Yep. You don't have to participate.
You can click out.
I mean, it's one of those stupid like things where it's like, I don't like it, so nobody should like it. And I hate that. You need to embrace the positives that come with it. These people get to make money without having to work all night in a room full of drunks.
Yeah.
They don't have to be around other, dancers or people that do that may have drug habits constantly offering them drugs. They don't have to rub on my junk through my pants just because I gave them $20. I mean, it is nothing but positives for them. So anyone who wants to get laws passed that will make it difficult for the men and women that are willing to get naked for money on the internet, knock it off and find something better to do with your time.
Yes, I agree with that.
This leads us to today's show. When a government makes laws, it's supposed to be to protect its citizens.
Yep.
Unfortunately, they sometimes make laws that only have the purpose of controlling people. Making murder and assaults and using lead and paint illegal makes sense because it's keeping people from getting hurt.
Yep.
Or it's supposed to prevent that. When lawmakers decide that they want to use laws to make the citizens into what their idea of a good person is, they're legislating morality, and that's just trying to control people. And it's not
legislating cool. Morality. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's actually the title of this episode.
Oh. I like it.
He said the title. A great example of what I'm talking about are blue laws. I'm going to stick to the Texas blue laws because they're the ones that I know the most about. The blue laws in Texas were laws that were enacted in 1961 that prevented the sale of items like home goods, clothes, jewelry, appliances, and toys on consecutive weekend days. So if you were selling any of that stuff on Saturday, you couldn't on Sunday. If you were selling on Sunday, you couldn't do it on Saturday. It was illegal to do it on 2 days in a row.
You say sell or buy?
Sell.
Okay.
You were not allowed to. I mean, so essentially the goal of this, by making it illegal to sell these things on 2 consecutive weekend days, was to make them be closed on one day. Can you guess which day in Texas that they didn't want people doing stuff that they'd enjoy?
Sunday?
Yes, you are correct. Because everybody was out and about on Saturday, so of course everybody's going to be open on them. They're not going to pick Sunday. So this law, the purpose of it was essentially keeping places closed because it's a Christian day of worship.
Uh-huh.
Fortunately, most of these have been replaced. Most. And I'm very sad to say that 60 some odd years later, we still have a couple of these things just hanging on, making sure that certain things don't do business on God's day.
Well.
There are 2 that are hanging on to this very day. In Texas, you cannot buy liquor on Sundays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, or New Year's Day. Furthermore, you can't buy beer or wine on Sunday until noon.
Uh-huh.
Why? Because God, that's why.
You can't drink while you're in church.
They're like,
wait till they get out.
We don't want you heathens getting ahead of us.
Yeah.
I'm not an atheist by any means, but I don't think God needs to be imposed on people's alcohol purchases. However, it doesn't even stop there. Have any of you Texans out there ever wondered why you can't buy a car on Sunday?
I just thought they needed a day off.
Car dealerships are still covered under the old blue laws that keep them from being open on consecutive weekend days.
Wow.
Apparently, God is okay with Texans buying electronics or appliances on Sundays now, but he still gets pissed off if you buy a car on his day. It's like, no, that's too much.
I agree with all that, but do you think it has something to do with the financing and the banks not being open too?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
If they could make millions of dollars on a Sunday, I'm pretty sure some of the banks would be like, hey, keep the car and finance department open.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, because remember, this is just Texas, so I'm pretty sure other people can buy cars on Sundays in other states.
Oh, okay. Very true.
Yeah. It's easy for us to forget that because, the world revolves around us here. It does.
It does. Everything's about us right now.
Exactly. One thing that tends to throw people off from other states, my wife was one, and this is going back to the alcohol stuff, is, my wife, she immigrated here from California, is the fact that you can only buy liquor at liquor stores.
Yeah, not at Walmart.
When she first came here, she threw off some poor grocery store worker asking them where their liquor section was.
Ma'am, I don't even know you.
On the reverse end of this, the first time I went to Vegas, I was floored by the fact that there was a liquor section in Walgreens.
Hell yes. It's the best place to go to buy the liquor.
And I bought whiskey there. So.
Mm-hmm.
Also in Texas, each county can determine if they want to be a dry county that that doesn't sell alcohol, or if they want to be a wet county, they sell alcohol. So if you come to Texas, there's some places you can't buy beer alcohol, and you have to go a whole county away to go get a 12-pack.
Yeah, Kaufman County just recently became wet, if you will, just a few years ago. Mm-hmm. Or at least Crandall, in that matter. Crandall. Okay.
Yeah, I remember whenever they finally started selling beer at Dollar General there. I was like, what?
Yes. Always had to drive to Kaufman or Terrell to get our beer.
Mm-hmm. Well, Sigaville, once they opened it up there, too.
Yeah. I just remember going to Terrell every weekend with my dad, and he would get his natural light or go to Kaufman and do the same.
Yep. All right, well, that's going to do it for the blue laws. However, alcohol is not the only sin that Texas politicians like to impose their morals about. Texas politicians hate gambling.
Yes.
This is extremely annoying because Texans love gambling.
Yes, sign us up.
If you go to Oklahoma or Louisiana's casinos, the parking lots are full of cars with Texas license plates.
Absolutely.
Whenever I go to Vegas, it seems like most of the people I meet in casinos are from Texas.
You want what you can't have.
There are currently 3 casinos in Texas on the 3 federal Indian reservations.
In Texas?
In Texas.
I didn't know this.
Mm-hmm. 2 of them are in West Texas, which would be why you didn't know it. Mm-hmm. They're over by like Eagle Pass and
way the hell down there. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like a 12-hour drive for folks in Dallas. And then there's one in the lower part of East Texas. That's like a 4-hour drive if you and I ever wanted to go to that one. But why would we? We can just drive an hour
2.5 hours, yeah.
Or go to Louisiana.
Shreveport, yeah.
What's really funny about these casinos is the Texas politicians busted their asses trying to get these casinos closed down. They succeeded for a time in 2002, but the National Indian Gaming Commission said, "Fuck you, Texas politicians," and told the tribes they could open them back up anyways. Texas politicians tried to shut them down again, sitting there saying, "No, you're breaking the law. We're saying it's illegal," until the U.S. Supreme Court told them to fuck right off.
Yeah, I thought they went by different laws for the most part.
That was the thing. That was what eventually had to be imposed, was the fact that Indian reservations they deal with the federal government whenever it comes to things like that. It's not up to the state.
Thank you, Yellowstone, for teaching me that.
But there's other ways that we hate gambling. Well, not we. The Texas
other people.
Politicians. And
stupid
I mean,
people.
Making sure to say Texas politicians. The Sands Resort Company and some other Vegas resort companies have been making a push to expand gambling in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Things like casinos, sports gambling, or online casinos. We don't have access to those inside our state, except for those Indian reservations. And I've got to say, I think they are pretty serious about getting here, because and the fact that Texas politicians are very serious about not doing it, because their fight cost us the best basketball player in the NBA.
Too soon, Daryl. Too soon.
It did.
Ah, dang. I can't even look at him in that uniform. Can't do it.
I heard a theory that the Sands Resort, which is the majority owner of the Dallas Mavericks, for you guys don't know that, they're the ones that keep getting rebuffed by Texas politicians because they wanted to do a casino in Dallas or in sports gambling and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Texas politicians won't even, they're just not having it. So the theory is that Sands is going to tank the Mavericks and then make a push to get them moved to Vegas.
I have something to add to that. They recently raised the season ticket prices next year for all season ticket holders or for anybody buying a season ticket holder. So not only are they pissed off their fan base now, and now they're trying to push them out by not making the tickets affordable.
So then all of a sudden they can tell the NBA we need to move. We have low attendance and all this other stuff.
Yep.
Ugh.
It's now a Luka curse. They have lost 2 of their star basketball players since the trade.
It's not a curse. It's a plan. It's a plot.
Well, it's against the Mavericks. It's a curse on the players. They're all getting hurt. Still can't believe it. Still can't believe it.
It's been quoted that the lieutenant governor of Texas will not even let a gambling bill be voted on in the state Congress. For, in his words, I know it's going to fail. Is it, is this because he's supported by all the super avid Bible beaters? Is it because he's worried that easier access to gambling would increase crime and destructive behaviors? Is it because the Chickasaw and Choctaw nations that have casinos on the Texas-Oklahoma border donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to the anti-gambling politicians in Texas? I wonder which it is. I think it might be that last one. There for a while. I mean, I guess they're losing out some money now because I know, like in the '90s, Las Vegas even had a lobby at the Texas legislature to keep gambling out of Texas. I guess now that flights are too expensive or something, then they're like, let's just build them closer to them. I bet we make more money that way.
Do you know the reach of Choctaw? Like, were they able to build now? Are they able to, if they was to come legal, does their territory stretch into Texas?
No, they don't have a reservation in Texas. I forget the name of the tribes that have it's like the Alabama Cochita that's in the East Texas. I want to say it was Kickapoo out in West Texas. They're the ones that have reservations here. So it's all deal with whatever reservation. So whenever we go to Choctaw, that is the Choctaw reservation. You go to Windstar, it's the Chickasaw.
I was about to ask that. Why they named it Windstar instead of after their tribe?
Well, a lot of so in California, I saw this because California has casinos on Indian reservations there, and I was shocked whenever Harris was one of them. Because that's a big brand, and I'm like,
yeah,
I don't think Harris is owned by Indians. What it is these big companies will essentially invest into it so that they are
get to use it.
Big majority stakeholders or whatever, and that way the tribes get the investment money and all that, and still get their cut. But so I figure Windstar is probably something along those lines, unless maybe just a bunch of Chickasaw guys got around and said, let's create a company called Windstar. That could be it too.
And they're kicking ass.
Both of all the laws I've talked about so far are just making fun things inconvenient. None of it is sitting there saying that we're not allowed to do any of it. We can go somewhere else and do those things. But this next law that I'm going to go over is just hate disguised as morality.
Okay.
As of January 2025, which I know that's not right now, but I write a lot of these in advance. So I'm pretty sure nothing's changed since then.
No, it's still in the past.
As of January 2025, 12 states still have sodomy laws. Texas, of course, Florida, Georgia, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Michigan, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Oklahoma all have laws saying that men can't put their wieners in other men. And I put it like that because they don't just cover butt stuff. They don't want them putting it in their mouths either. Now, what's really annoying about all this is following a Supreme Court decision, Lawrence versus Texas in 2003, that says these laws are unconstitutional. This hasn't been really discussed at a higher level anymore because it hasn't been prosecuted to where it becomes a whole thing again. Which I'm glad it hasn't been prosecuted. And fortunately, a lot of law enforcement officers know that it's impossible to prosecute. I mean, do they sit there with a camera and they're like, okay, yes, it went in. Get them.
Just give them 5 more minutes.
I mean, I can sort of see why it's still on our books because I will say this for any of you out, non-Texans and hell, some of you Texans that just don't know. Every Texas law is written into the Constitution, essentially, in the Texas Constitution. And it is a nightmare to change stuff here. It takes a whole lot of effort. And so that's why our Constitution is like hundreds of pages long. The only one that I know of that was worse than ours, and they might have updated theirs since I studied, was Alabama. I think theirs was like 1,000 pages long or something.
Damn.
Yeah, they needlessly making things complicated.
They did that on purpose, so the shit wouldn't get changed.
My issue with it, I wish somebody would just change it just for the point, because it's the principle of the matter. The only laws about wieners need to be: don't show it to or touch someone with your wiener unless they're okay with it. Don't show or touch kids with your wiener. And keep your wiener away from animals. Boom! That's all the wiener laws that any state could ever need. That is a limit to government's choice about wieners. Sodomy laws are just a way for a government to overtly say, we don't like gay people. I will defend Texas on a lot of things, but this is not one of them. This is a law created by assholes that pretend it's a moral high ground law, when the reality is they're probably jealous that openly gay people aren't afraid to be open with themselves, while the people advocating for these laws secretly jerk off to Magic Mike and cry afterwards, apologizing to their long dead mother. I'm sorry, Mommy. I'm sorry.
I'm sure it has a lot to do with church. The religious aspect of it.
I stand by my claim. Even the churchy people that are super for this are probably like closeted gay people.
Yeah,
I mean these laws protect no one. They can't be enforced. And I mean, in a legal sense, because they were declared unconstitutional. In the practical sense, with, like I said, how do they gather evidence for this? It's like, did it go inside or did he just rub it around the edge?
It's just in the crack. It's just a crack.
There is no victim. I mean, what's the point in the law if there is actually no victim of that law? I mean, that should be the way that you determine if a law is just. Is a citizen harmed physically or financially? If the answer is no, that means that law is there to control those people. That, it is built by bigots and religious zealots.
Or to be brought up at the perfect time in a political campaign.
I get maybe, I guess. I still can't imagine that a lot of people would be on board with these laws. I think most of the people that were probably cool with it are probably already in the dirt.
Yeah.
All right. I've talked about morality laws that inconvenience people. I've now talked about one that discriminates against people. But this last one is the worst, in my opinion, because it gets people hurt and sometimes it gets people killed. Prostitution is often referred to as the oldest profession.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes
absolutely
sense.
Every old show you watch, you see it.
Yeah, it is a base instinct. There was an experiment in 2005 to teach monkeys about currency. They got tokens, and they were able to trade various amounts of these tokens for different food. You give one token, you get a banana or a piece of banana. You do 2 tokens, you get strawberries. It did not take long for one monkey to figure out she could get boy monkey tokens if she had sex with them. I mean, a monkey figures this out.
Yeah. That's great.
Transactional sex is always going to exist. It is always going to happen. Every city has streets where women and men offer sex for money.
Mm-hmm.
It happens with drug dealers. When certain addicts can't afford the drugs, they start trading sex for it. I suck your dick for crack, whatever. Damn near every married couple at some point is going to have sex thrown in as an offer to convince the husband to do something that he doesn't want to do. That happens. If this is always going to be around, then why is it illegal? There's only one reason, and it's because some people find it distasteful, low class, or immoral.
And they're protecting the women.
No, that's exactly what they're not doing, and that's what.
Well, that's what they think they're doing. They think these women are forced into it, but most of these women aren't forced into it.
No, some are. Some are. Don't get me wrong. That's not the way that I mean they're not being protected.
Right, I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying that most of these people are thinking that these women are forced to do it when this is the only way they can make money in some cases.
Yeah. Well, as Jason alluded to, there are some that claim that prostitutes themselves are victims. They say making it illegal protects women from the psychological and physical effects of being a prostitute. I can't say if that is the case, but I can say with it being illegal in most places now, there are loads of prostitute victims right now. With the laws in most of our states, this leaves prostitutes working in the streets, or working for criminal organizations like illegal brothels, or finding random clients online, Backpage.com and all that other stuff.
Or a mean pimp.
That's the criminal organization part in my head. Because pimps usually, they try to be organized. They have a group of hoes and all that stuff.
Yeah, stable of hoes.
Oh, sorry. This leaves the people that do this outside of the normal protection of the law because the law is not on their side. If they are caught doing what they're doing, they are going to get arrested or fined or jailed or whatever the case may be. So they cannot, it's harder for them to get protected by the law if they're having to avoid the law.
Very true.
This makes them easy hunting for serial killers.
Also true.
The Green River Killer, the Gilgo Beach Killer, the Eyeball Killer that we talked about in our episode, Hometown Psycho, Samuel Little, and many others specifically targeted prostitutes because they were easy to isolate and largely ignored by law enforcement.
Yep.
It's been estimated that 35% of prostitute homicides between 1982 and 2000 were serial killings.
Damn.
So let's move away from serial killers because most homicides are not at the hands of serial killers. I know I always like to toss those in there, but that's because they're interesting. It's been estimated in that same period of time those last statistics I gave, 2.7% of all female homicide victims were prostitutes. Now you could say, "Oh, that's not too much, just 2.7%." Well, it is when you figure out that prostitutes only comprise about 0.3% of the female population in the United States.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. So if you got this teeny tiny group and they take up almost 3% of your homicides, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
However, they aren't always killed. Sometimes they get beat up or experience sexual violence. In 2021, 41% of sex workers surveyed said that they had experienced some sort of violence while working. Other studies, those numbers were 71%. Another study, trying to find the same thing, said it was 82%. But those other two, those were like city-specific studies. So I don't know if like Johns are just a little more rough in Albuquerque than they are in Little Rock. So, all right, let's step away from the violence and take a look at a concern that a lot of people have whenever it comes to prostitution: human trafficking.
Uh-huh.
In 2023, a study estimated that there was over 1 million people trafficked into the U.S. for what's referred to as modern slavery. This could be sex work, drug work, or whatever other criminal work that those criminals need people for. Another study around that same time estimated that it was around 300,000 people trafficked into the U.S. for sex work. So these are people brought here, 300,000 for sex work. Why is this the case? Because we put prostitution in the hands of criminals, and they're the ones that decide how to run it. There is only one way to take this legal enterprise away from criminals. We make it legal.
Yeah.
That way it can be regulated. If states have legalized prostitution, then it can be regulated. Brothels would have to have licenses and be subject to inspections to make sure that they're operating in ways that keep women safe, keep them paid properly, and give them freaking medical insurance.
Yeah, keep them healthy.
Yeah. It could also require health checkups with up-to-date exam results. They could mandate safe sex practices. They can shut down any place that doesn't abide by these rules.
Yeah, just
it's going
like
to be
a restaurant.
It's going to be hard to traffic somebody in if you've got to worry about a government official coming in and saying, "Who's that Ukrainian woman that's crying in the corner?" You know. If a place wanted to be extra strict, which I'm sure Texas would, prostitutes could be also required to have their own individual license or registrations within that regulating body.
A licensed prostitute?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to give the government information about me, but if the other option was giving it some criminal named Butt Stabber or a state agency, I'd choose a state agency.
Uh-huh.
I mean, this way they could, if they did the licensing, it would be easier to try to prevent any trafficking into legal brothels. Databases of prostitutes connected to databases of missing persons. You know, cool things like that.
Okay, I like that idea.
Now, what happens to the people that operate outside of the regulated system, of this proposed regulated system? They get arrested or they get shut down. I mean, it's not going to be perfect. Some people are still going to work on the streets and they'll still be at risk.
Yeah, because they won't be able to get that license.
Yeah, but giving people the ability to do this option to operate in the light and safety matters more overall. You can't save everybody, but at least then you can save more of them.
Yeah, I mean, legal weed might be legal in some states, but there's still going to be the element of people not be able to buy it and still want to buy it on the streets.
Yep. I think it's, these laws, they may make people feel uncomfortable, but I think making people safe is more important than making people feel comfortable or making people feel morally superior.
There's a lot of that going around.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it won't solve all of the problems when it comes to prostitution. There would still be bad things happen, and it's not going to make every prostitute, like, oh, my life's a dream, it's wonderful. But it will make one less thing work against them. It will take the law and make them where they don't have to hide from it, and they get a chance to be protected, and it puts them in control of I can't even talk.
Man, and themselves.
Bad. Yeah. No, I mean, like, seriously, wow. Was I falling asleep when I wrote this? All right, anyway. It's all made worse because it's only done, these laws that we have are only done to make the people in charge making the laws present themselves as moral figureheads. It's posturing.
Yeah.
And it's not worth the deaths that it causes.
It's
and the fact that they're willing to let people die for it is one of the reasons why I fucking hate politicians, and I will hate them for the rest of my life.
Yeah. The more I know about them, the more I don't like them.
Yep. All right.
That was a good discussion.
I feel a little preachy. I'm folks, don't worry. I think this is going to be my only real kind of like opinion piece. I mean, I'll always have my rants and stuff, but this one's been sitting on my head for a while. I watch too much true crime, and it's always like, I mean, it's not always, but there's so many victims that are prostitutes, and it's just so ridiculous that these people are just put in this position, and it's dehumanizing and it's ridiculous.
It's not working the way it's working now, so why not try something different?
Right. All right. Well,
good topic, Daryl.
Thank you. Join us next time, unless Jason is arrested for sodomizing a car that he bought on a Sunday.
It's more likely it would be prostitution.
Are you sure?
No.
I mean, don't you go buying a car on a Sunday. And definitely don't you put anything in that car's tailpipe.
Hey, my mortgage payment's going up. I got to pay the bills.
All right. So if he's not doing any of that stuff, he'll tell us about some things that'll make us say, WayWut.
See y'all then. Later.
Thank you for joining us for WayWut. If you would, tell your friends or your enemies that they can watch us on YouTube or Rumble. And if you don't want to see our face, or if they don't want to see our faces, you can listen to us on your preferred audio platform. That's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pandora, you name it, we're probably on there. Please like, review, and comment on whatever platform you joined us on today. We'd appreciate that a ton. Again, just thank you for listening and watching. We hope you'll join us next time. We'll make you say, "Wait, what?"